If you're a clinic owner who's always struggling with your time, then this video is for you. Now, I've consulted clinicians and clinic owners from around the world now, and one of the key themes they always talk to me about is, I just don't have the time. And even when they do have the time, they don't seem to have the energy. So on this video, I'm going to show you the #1 mental model that I have adopted the last couple of years that have helped me save the most time, but also increase my efficiency and quality of my work so that it actually creates more time for me in the future. Now, most of these clinic owners are actually still working in the business, treating anywhere from 30 to 40 hours a week. And then they try and spend 10, 20 hours refining the systems or to support their team to make sure their business isn't running on fires. Now, whenever I ask them, well, what makes this a good decision for your time? They generally can't answer me. And the reason I ask this question is because I want to have a look at how they see return on investment. Now, for those of you who don't know, return on investment is used as an economic term to define how much money you put in and how much money you get a return on as a percentage. If something promises an 8% return, then if I put in $100, then I'm going to get $8 back over a certain time period. And generally speaking, the shorter the time period, the more attractive that investment becomes. Business owners do think in terms of ROI in terms of dollar signs, which is great. However, just because something returns a positive dollar does not necessarily mean that it's going to return positive time. Now, let me give you an example. Maybe you take on an extra 20 patients a week because you want to generate more revenue for the business. And over the next 2 months, maybe this is exactly what happens. With an extra 20 patients, you've now generated $1,500 more for the business. But the problem is now you've got to spend all this time servicing those patients. So although you got a positive ROI on the money side, you actually had a negative ROI on the time side. And over time, if your revenue was to continue to grow from this strategy, then your time actually goes further and further down. This is why there's business owners who rely on themselves to treat 40 to 50 patients a week. They can't step away because if they do, their revenue will come down, maybe their rent increases, and they can't afford to give themselves some time back because to keep themselves afloat, they actually need to sustain themselves at working 40 to 50 patients a week. So instead of thinking only about how much money will come back based off your investment, for me, I have changed and thought about it more as how much time do I have to invest? And with this time invested, how much time do I get back? And if the outcome is negative, it's honestly not worth doing because the more I do of it, the less time I actually get. So that's not useful, is it? However, the more I do of it, if I get more time returned. In fact, if I get forever time returned, then I'm making a decision that is going to compound forever. So let me give you an example. You may or may not have seen my book, How to Rebook Patients Without Being Pushy. That took me 100 hours to create, but now that I have it and it is written well, it will save me forever time in the future because I can just give that book to anyone and I can sell it. And over time, it has increased its sales to over 300 books now. And so the revenue I'm generating from these initial 100 hours is only increasing. Now, where else has this saved me time? Well, when I have a coaching client, if they ask me about strategies to rebook, I always direct them first to my book. I say to them, hey, please read this book. It's going to cost you less than 2 hours, but it's going to make a huge impact on you. I don't need to spend 3 hours teaching them the thing that I've already written down in the book. And so that in itself buys me back time as well. Another example I could use is if you're in the social media marketing game and you're trying to increase the social media presence of your profile, maybe you create 5 reels a week and they're not the best quality, you get maybe 100, 200 views and it doesn't result in any leads, then what's the point of doing that? Because you've spent maybe 5 hours creating 5 reels and it's not returning any investment on your time and it's not returning any investment on your dollar sign. So this is actually a negative action. You're spending more time and not getting any return from it. If you contrast this with spending 5 hours to create one piece of content, one really good piece where it's thought out, you target a specific problem, you know exactly who you're talking to, and you post it and it gains 500 views or 600 views, great, you might gain a couple of patients, and then you use your budget and you start to invest in a digital marketing platform to actually pay it to spread your message, then this asset actually now becomes a forever useful piece of content. And you might gain 1 or 2 patients a month from this content alone, which is huge ROI over the next 10, 15, 20 years of your career. So the best thing to remember before you make a decision is, will the time I put into this action result in at least the same amount of time coming back to me Or will this action buy me forever time? In fact, it's even better if it's forever time and it's scalable. For example, using my book again, my book is an ebook and a hard copy, and I can sell 1,000 of these at the same time if I have enough budget to spend on an ad campaign. At the same time, I also leverage Amazon, who does print to order, which means anybody can hop onto the site and buy it for themselves. I don't have to spend any time fixing the orders, and I get a nice little royalty from the book sold. So my 100 hours is now infinitely scalable, and I can save myself time in 100 different places because I turned my 100 hours into a format that is immediately scalable. And the last example I could give you is whether you spend time onboarding your clinicians properly. So let's just say you hire a new person, they cost you $70,000 a year, but most new hires for the first 2 to 3 months, they're going to cost you money because they're not the best at rebooking, especially if they're new grads. However, let's just say you have a new grad program that you've refined for your own clinic and you spent in total 5 to 10 hours developing exactly how you want your new grads to perform in your clinic. You then spend 2 hours onboarding them when they first come on, and then you spend maybe an hour every fortnight just nurturing them and providing the space for them to develop. Now, over 3 months, they're going to slowly climb up in their rebooking rates, and now they're turning a profit by month number 4. And in total, you spent maybe 13 to 15 hours over that duration helping them become the clinician that you want them to be. Now, this results in profit for you, but more importantly, you now don't have to go put out these fires and have this conversation with them about why their rebooking rates aren't great. And not only do you save time here, if their performance boosts, they get rewarded with compensation, they're happy, they feel good about their job, then they're also more likely to stay at this clinic for the next 5, 6, 7, 10 years, maybe even forever, because you provided a platform for them to boost their performance to the level that they intrinsically feel worthy of. And the time it saves you is now you don't have to worry about hiring another person, going through the recruitment process, going through another onboarding process, because you just did it right the first time. And that's why at the top of these massive companies, you have CEOs who are really good at managing their time and choosing the most effective actions for their time. They're not wasting their time trying to do all these busy things that makes them busier. They're actually always looking for ways to leverage their time, to leverage different vehicles to make sure that whatever they do can maximize and give them a forever return on their time. So to conclude, if you're always feeling like you've got no time in your day, it's most likely because you're not thinking enough about how much time it's going to take you and whether this action step actually buys you time in the future. Thanks for watching, guys. See you on the next video.